Hey guys, this is my commentary for Primal Council Mythic. This boss was one which my guild killed in 2 pools, I believe, on the first week of the raid. So frankly, not too much thought process went to do this one. Kind of just played the AoE rotation, optimized here and there. Nothing super fancy, but hopefully it will give an insight to the kind of stuff that goes on in this fight. In my advice. So first things first, I do recommend trying to play in melee range as much as possible without like killing your players. Typically what I like to do is if you imagine a circle starting from around where Kadros is here skull, the raid will probably want to move more so like clockwise in this direction if fire gets like too much. But on Mythic fire disappears so that's not as much of a problem. So I typically like to stand maybe like over here. That way I have access to melee if I want to, but without being too close to the point where I'm like, kind of jihading my melee group. You don't want to be like the equivalent to the DH, right? On pull, uh, everything is like spread out, so we're not quite in AoE phase. So instead, we can take this time to actually set up our Arcane Harmony stacks here. So you see me double lust, I'm just going to build some Harmony. The moment the bosses are together, I'm going to drop my Rune, Radiant Spark, into Orb, Missile, Orb, Nether Tempest, Arcane Surge. You can do Arcane Surge, Nether Tempest, either one, doesn't matter. Ideally, technically, Nether Tempest first. Into Barrage, Touch, Arcane Blast, Barrage. At this point now you want to dump all your Arcane Echoes, or your Clearcast Missiles, which are for proccing Arcane Echoes, and weaving in your Barrage wherever possible. Also throw in your Arcane Orb. Here I'll do 1 missile, 2 missile. At this point I orb. You might ask yourself, well, you just told me to spend all my missiles. Why are you orbing now? Reason is because I know that I have another missile, but missiles are harmony stacks. If I missile here, I'm gonna waste 4 harmony stacks because I'm on 16 and you can only go to 20. So instead, I'm gonna orb, get to max charges, and then I'm gonna dump with a barrage, and then I'm gonna continue to missile. It's just net gain for harmony stacks. So back to missile. Now at this point, when you have nothing left, if you have no missiles, no orb, no barrages. Here you just Arcane Explosion until you get one of those. So I'm going to Arcane Explosion. Oh, get a missile, throw them out. You know? Arcane Explosion. I did one too many because I got a proc. Didn't react fast enough with Double Lust. Once Arcade Surge is almost over, I threw my Ice Nova there. Same concept as like with Terros, with Barrage and Rune and all that good stuff, clipping things and milking in the last millisecond. Ice Nova does pretty good damage. It does about half the damage of an Arcane Orb. It's better than Arcane Explosion by a good amount. If you see here, actually, Arcane Explosion crit for 96, whereas Nova crit for 110, hit for 110, sorry. This was without tier, so maybe with tier there's some slight difference in consideration, potentially. Um, I haven't checked, to be honest with you, but if there is, it's very minor. I think Ice Nova is probably still a better play, especially considering, I got 1 crit here and none here. Anyway, build back up to 4 charges. I'm going to shifting power in a second once I know it's safe. I'm going to shimmer into the soak, Arcane Blast because I'm in range, dump my missiles, dump my barrage, and then I'm orbing because it's off cooldown, like I had 2 charges there. And here I'm just going to Arcane Blast. The reason I Arcane Blast there is just because I'm kind of buying time and I'm kind of fishing for Nether Tempest proc, or not, sorry, Clearcast Missile procs. I didn't get it, unfortunately. It was a bit of a gamble, admittedly. Now I have my cooldown back from my mini burn, so I'm going to Rune, Radiant Spark into Orb, Nether Tempest, Barrage Touch, Arcane Blast Barrage. I think I actually did an Arcane Blast here after for the second stack. Yeah, so I palmed into an Arcane Blast. Main reason is because, I don't want to sit here AFK. My touch isn't quite ready. There's 1 second left. Arcane Blast before this Barrage just means that my Barrage will be like 10% weaker on the primary target and a little bit weaker on the cleave targets. It's not the end of the world. It's better to miss that out and get an extra global and then to just AFK. You just can never barrage into a barrage because it has its own cooldown. But you can like Radiant Spark, Blast, Barrage, Touch, Blast, Barrage. You have your blast in between the 2 barrages. Or ideally you do the Radiant Spark Blast, Nether Tempest, barrage, touch, blast, barrage. That way we utilize harmonic echo a little bit better from Arcane Blast, which is the main goal of the stacks, right? To cleave a little bit more. But yeah. Oh, actually, yeah. We get back into it. Arcane Blast, Barrage. I Shimmer here because I had to get rid of my fire. You'll see I play specifically Shimmer on this fight. I'm a big proponent of Alter Time, but this fight Ice Flows doesn't do much. So instead here, the blizzard's happening. I'm in my rune. I need to get into the fire because I'm at 5 stacks. So I Alter Time, Shimmer, get rid of my stacks, Alter Time back. Enough, just in time for me to throw out my barrage and still land in Radiant Spark's Harmonic Echo window. And then I'm just filling with missiles again. Nothing crazy. Marks are spawning, so I'm being cautious with my range from the melee. I don't want to get too close, but just playing the AoE rotation. I have a mark here, so I don't want to, there's a guy in front of me. If I walk up to Arcane Explosion, I'm going to give him the mark. I don't want to do that. So I just said, okay, fuck it, I'll just Arcane Blast. It's not optimal for DPS, but optimal for the fight. Druid here is cucking me a little bit, but, happens. I'm waiting for him to, move. He moves eventually. I get back into melee range. I'm starting to cast. Probably should have soaked that, but it's okay. Playing my rotation, Nether Tempest, because why not? I'm at 4 charges and it's AoE. It's a small gain to Nether Tempest at 4 charges in AoE to maintain it. On single target, not, but for AoE, it barely is. So Nether Tempest, I throw out my Evocate, and then I go straight into my burst. Notice I don't really care about Harmony. You kind of just go. Same thing. Rune, Arcane Blast, Nether Tempest Surge or Surge Nether Tempest. Into Barrage, Touch, Arcane Blast, Barrage. Missiles, Orb, sorry, and then Barrage. I lost my target because I had to kick because this ad was outside and someone needed to kick, so I took the bullet for my team. And then I had nothing else there, so last millisecond of Orb, last millisecond of Rune, I throw out my Orb, sorry. I Barrage as well to try and fit it before the touch of the Magi. Unfortunately, it didn't, but it's okay. And then here, I'm just going to spam Arcane Explosion because I could Shifting Power, but my Surge is still up. So I'm just going to Explosion and Ice Nova. And then I'm going to Shifting Power. Now at this point, I have an Orb and I have my Burst soon. Orb's cooldown till my second charge is 16 seconds. So ideally, I shouldn't cast it. I'm not sure if I do or not, but for now, I'm just casting my missiles. Soaking. I need to clear my charge. I'm freaking out. I need to do something. I slam my health pot because I'm scared. Finally, I clear, and now I feel safe. So I start my burst. So I delayed my burst a little bit. I did some weird arcane blast instead of doing my perfect AoE rotation, because you need to make sure you live and do well, right? These are the small things that small sacrifices the players have to do to make sure that fights go smoothly. And it's part of the reason we one shot or two shot this boss or whatever on the first week of Mythic, the first day of Mythic even. Yeah. Go into rotation. Nothing fancy. They're just repeating the same thing as before. Notice my orbs are capped now, unfortunately. If I got to send my burst from the get-go, it would have been fine. But because I had to delay my burst a little bit due to the shenanigans, I'd capped charges. Nonetheless, I'm going to send them soon. Gonna missile there, sent my orb at the last second, the last millisecond of rune, or the last, GCD of rune. So I'm milking it a little bit. And then I clear my mark, I'm missiling, I barraged a little late, but it's okay since obviously, I don't have many harmony stacks. I get a mark, I need to clear, just kind of spamming missiles, just kind of just doing whatever I can. I even palmed Arcane Blast out of desperation, because I just wanted to do something. I can't just sit there doing nothing. Get 4 charges, Tempest, because why not? And then back to Arcane Explosion, get a proc, missile. Arcane Explosion, Arcane Explosion, Arcane Explosion, sometime soon. There we go. Now I'm at 4 charges, so I start evocating. I'm going into a big burst now, because I have Surge and Trinket. I get a mark. I can Alter Time Blink, but there's a fire and it's a little tight. And frankly, the fight is it's done very soon. So I'm like, you know what? This might be the last useful block chance I get, so I think I go for the block here. Oh, I don't. Okay, never mind. I do go for it. But I'll just go straight back into my burst. I did something really ethical here. This lost me a lot of damage with what I'm doing now. So notice that my target is M-Bar Firepath right now. He's at 39%. All the other targets are 35 or lower. This boss specifically had more health than us, than the rest of the bosses. Sorry, on this pull. If I target one of the low HP bosses, I'm going to destroy their HP bar, and that is not good. Obviously, I'm not gonna literally like just fucking solo it, but I'm gonna do good amount of damage to its HP, and it's gonna create an even bigger imbalance. I don't want to cause issues. Like I know this is gonna be the kill, so I just do the ethical thing and burst on the high HP target, even though I know I'm losing double barrage damage, right? I'm just taking the bullet. Just another sacrifice for progress, unfortunately. I do the AoE rotation, missile, missile. I probably could have orbed there before that second missile, but it's okay. I orb, I throw out my barrage into a second orb before my rune expires, and then yeah, back to the normal stuff. Shifting powered. Kind of an annoying position for me to be there that close to melee. You can see why I usually stand further. I was probably giving this guy some sweats, but now I'm playing pretty close. I kind of did one more explosion there, even though it's full charges, because I know I'm gonna burst soon. I could technically barrage and then orb, but then I'm losing 16 harmony stacks. To me, it seemed like dropping that, like it's not even an extra barrage, right? Because I would have to orb, whereas I can just save orb now. Losing the harmony stacks or keeping the harmony stacks seems more beneficial for me for this burst. But yeah, regular burst again. I go for the extra one. Oh, this is something I sometimes do, and I don't know for sure if this is good, but it makes sense somewhat to me. So when I have high harmony stacks, I do like to do this extra arcane blast because my thought process is this harmony barrage is gonna hit harder than a blast. So the harmonic echo that I'm gonna get out of this barrage is probably a stronger harmonic echo than if it was an arcane blast. The only and major downside to this kind of move is that my touch of the Magi is starting one global later, which means that I'm getting one less global cooldown of rune in my touch of the Magi. That's the major consideration here. I'm not sure which one is better. I'll be honest with you, I haven't thought about it that much because this is the only AoE fight. If there was more AoE, I would think about it more, but I feel like both are probably fine. But yeah, Barrage, Arcane Blast, Barrage, Shimmer, get back in straight away, maintaining that uptime, right? No time wasted. We get some Mark's shenanigans. Oh, this is the one where I block actually. In hindsight, I remember watching this video. I realized that like, oh, a pillar literally spawned next to me. I could have just blocked. I'll be honest with you, because this is our second pillar, I had no idea these brown circles will spawn the pillar. So, it didn't register on it. I'm just like, the boss is 20%. Let me just block, might as well. And then it spawned, and I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, just continuing on with the gameplay, nothing special. Just throwing out my missiles, wasting a little bit of harmony there. I barrage reluctantly a little bit, I'll be honest. Throw out my orb. That one was probably a little too far away to start holding for my burst. So instead I kind of sent it. Just building stacks back up. Now I'm evocating. I have Lust soon. I don't think I'm gonna. I mean, I know I'm not gonna get my trinket up again. Once again, in hindsight, if I was really planning this fight out with this fight timer, I would have held my trinket from the previous use to be for this use instead. Because the previous use was my last use. It's better if I line them up together, right? That would be the better play for sure. But obviously, like I told you, I didn't prep much for this fight. But same rotation again. Rune, Radiant Spark, Arcane Blast. I had Lust here because I get it right there and then. Nether Tempest Surge, Barrage, Touch. Yeah, usual stuff. Nothing fancy. There was a slightly unfortunate thing here. I had so much haste that this is something to watch out for. I orbed there. Let me rewind, sorry. I orb. It's right here, right? It's gonna try, and I want a barrage, right? But I have so much haste that I end up firing my barrage before my orb actually hits all the targets. So unfortunately, this was only a 2 arcane charge barrage that landed, and then I got 2 afterwards. I realized this mid-fight, and I was like, oh shit, sucks. Have to wait a little bit if you have Lust up, just to make sure, or be closer, just even if I was like here, for example, it would be fine, because then the travel time is shorter. But yeah, Arcane Blast. I should have barraged it a little earlier, but I only had 2 charges, so maybe it probably isn't worth it, right? Execute, if you think about it, is double damage. So execute in touch. Touch is only like an extra 20% damage done. With AoE, it'll be a little bit more because obviously it's splashes, so that 20% is a bit larger. Probably, I want to say it's like an extra 60% damage total because of like square root scaling with 4 targets. So if I barrage there, it would have gotten a 60% damage buff. But like each arcane charge is 60% or more already, depending on your mastery. So it doesn't seem worth it. I just said, okay, I'll just get to max charges first. Then I barrage, missile. Here I realized like, okay, the fight is ending. I have shifting power, I have a burst soon. I'm just gonna shifting power right the fuck now. I don't care about surge anymore. Like there was 1 second left, I need to just go. So you see, I straight away, I drop my rune, not messing around. I don't care about my cooldown, my perfect ramp. The boss is dead in 5 seconds. You just gotta press your buttons. I don't even know if this Radiant Spark is worth it. Probably still is because of Harmonic Echo. But yeah, I just gotta send it out there. Blast on my main target. If I had more like better foresight, I would have done it on Kadro's Ice Wrath. Instead, here I do it on this guy. I get to 4 charges. I don't even barrage this guy because I was worried if I barrage him, he's gonna die. I switch target. I barrage missile and then just touch the Magi, like just throwing shit out. I barrage, like just throw your shit out at this point. Maybe some small optimizations, but yeah. Major takeaways here is just do your rotation, like just do your AoE rotation sequences perfectly every time, or even almost perfectly every time. It's really not that fancy. It's not that complicated. Yeah, like honestly, it's not that fancy. Press your buttons, maintain uptime as you saw, right? Like there was no time where I was not DPSing. I wasn't AFKing, walking. If I'm walking, I'm pressing like you saw. I was pressing like Presence of Mind to get like a 0 stack Arcane Blast out there, cause like why not? If I had an Ice Nova, I would throw Ice Nova instead. Um, if I'm at range and I can't get in melee to Explosion because I have a mark, Arcane Blast. Why not? Kind of just gotta throw it out there. I hope this does provide some insight. I'm sorry if it's like not super advanced. As super high quality or whatever, as I usually like to put out. Frankly, the fight is a simple fight. The AoE rotation is not complex. There's not much nuance to it. A lot of the things, the nuances like clipping missiles and milking your rune and like milking your surge or whatever from single target doesn't really apply in AoE because the damage difference between an arcane blast and an explosion is like way bigger, right? On multiple targets. So all these small min maxes kind of fade away. You kind of just press your buttons. But I hope it did help some of you and maybe give you some advice or some tips. Let me know what you thought, I guess, in the comments. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.